welcome to today's episode of As You Are podcast. I'm Andrea.
I'm Alexa.
And if you're new here, welcome.
If you've been here, thank you so much for your love and support.
On today's topic, we're going to talk about bloating and gut health. On the first episode, I mentioned that I suffered a lot from bloating and that it was like a big part of like the health journey that I'm on. And while I was on the worst of the worst, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos about it, and surprisingly there weren't as many I could relate to in a way. So I just wanted to do this video to talk about it with you, and hopefully someone can learn something from it, relate to it, or even inspire them to do more research about what they're feeling, if they're feeling the same symptoms or something that feels off related to their gut health. I just wanted to see if this can help anyone.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know where I'm coming at and on this topic, I don't know a ton about bloating, but I've heard Andrea talk about it before, and it's very interesting just to like hear about her story and to really learn about it. And already some stuff that you've told me, like eating a certain type of bread and all of that, like I've implemented for myself.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, you'll learn. So
You'll learn.
not a lot from me today. You learn a lot from Andrea today.
No, we'll learn. We'll both learn. Okay, so it's a whole thing. This started, I would say, 4 years ago, around COVID.
Mm.
It started basically, I had a lot of changes in my diet around that time. And one of the main things that changed was I was pescatarian at that time. I was only eating fish. And then
So wait, hold on. Because you told me, for how long were you pescatarian?
For a year.
And you started, your diet change started what year? 2019?
I would say, so that was 2020. I would say 2019, around 2019.
Okay.
It wasn't like a choice. It was mainly because I stopped eating chicken and meats less and less. And then
Is it because you felt lighter and
No, it was
better,
just
or?
not animal cruelty, but it was like it didn't feel right eating the animal, not physically, but just mentally it didn't feel right.
Okay.
It's not that eating fish is any different, but I just slowly wasn't feeling good buying meat and buying chicken, and I just mentally wasn't where I was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I slowly, super slowly stopped eating it. Rarely I would eat any meat unless I would go out to a restaurant. I would order it, but it was very rare. And then chicken, it was like non-existent in the household, just because I didn't like to cook it, to buy it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna eat it overall.
Wow.
And then
usually it's like the red meat goes out first and the chicken
it went out first. But it was like I always liked meat a lot since I was like back home. I love a barbecue. Like that's what we would do every Sunday. It's like, oh, let's have barbecue at my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it, and I literally, that would be like my birthday plan would be like, okay, let's have a barbecue at my parents' house. Like that was my request. And I really loved it, but for some reason it was like the first one to go away in terms of like cooking it at home. I was like, I just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then chicken, which is like the second most protein at my, like back home, like in my household, it was like, okay, I was used to eating a lot of chicken, but then when I moved here, I slowly stopped cooking it, buying it overall. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started eating a lot more fish, and I would eat a lot of salmon, tuna, canned tuna. I would be basically a rotation between those, and a lot of branzino when I would go out. Sushi was like my favorite food at that time. So I was eating a lot of fish. I've always tried to be conscious about like incorporating proteins into my meals because of like fitness, trying to grow muscle. I will always try
At the time you had started going to the gym? Was that, or you had been going to the gym for a while?
Yeah, I had been going to the gym for a while. So to give you
did you ever take like protein supplements like shakes and protein powders?
So to give you some of like time frames, I moved here in 2014. I already started like my fitness journey, so I was like super into working out and eating as clean as possible, trying to eat as much protein as I could to grow muscle. But then when I moved here, I slowly started to eat less and less meat and chicken. So in the course of like from 2013 to 2019, I started eating less poultry and like meats and then more fish. But it was slowly. So then around 2018, 2019, that's when I started like, okay, let's just eat fish. But it wasn't like, okay, I'm pescatarian now, but it was like,
it just so happened that
it just so happened that, and yeah, it was slowly, and then 2019, I was like, okay, if I'm not eating meat as often, let's just not eat it overall. That's when I would stop eating meat completely.
Okay.
Just because I thought eating meat wasn't great for you, like it takes a lot for your body to digest it, so I just slowly cut it out. And then from, let's say, 2019 to 2020, I was just eating fish. I was still eating eggs, but the main source of protein was fish. Then around COVID, I decided to stop eating fish overall. And then I became vegan.
Okay. Do you know what influenced you to make that decision?
Yes. Like around COVID, I watched a documentary, which I'm not going to name because I don't want anyone to watch it. It changed my perspective so much with fish. It's just the way they were, it's farm raised versus wild caught.
Yes.
They show everything super graphically and like
the adding coloring and the fish.
adding coloring, how farm raised salmon is the worst of the worst, things like that. So I just literally the day after I was like, I'm not eating fish anymore, and I stopped eating fish like from one day to the other. And that's when I started eating a lot of grains and legumes because
to get the protein.
Yeah, to be able to achieve the protein intake that I wanted based on what my goals were, which was growing muscle. So I started eating as much as I could in terms of protein. And since it was COVID, I had a lot of time. So I would track my macros. So I would like literally weight everything that I was eating.
Like you had a balance?
I have a balance. I don't know if you've seen like those balance that you put a code. And then the code is for the food. So let's say I have a banana, and then I put the code in the balance, and then in the weight, and then you put the banana, and then it literally tracks like it has the macros of that piece. So based on the weight, the balance is able to tell you like protein, carbs, sugars, fats, calories, everything. So I will literally track all my macros every single day, just so I could have an idea how much protein I was eating based on only grains and legumes and nuts.
That's funny because during COVID, I was staying with my brother and his girlfriend at the time, and they were vegan at the time. So I was practically vegan during COVID too, because we barely cooked any like
Really? Okay, that's so interesting.
Sorry, even when we cooked eggs, it was like we didn't cook it often because they didn't eat it at the time. So yeah, that's the only time where I was like kind of. What? But it was only like for I want to say like a month or.
Wait, I want to know, how do you feel?
Well,
that month.
Honestly, I just like meat. I've never like. I didn't feel particularly light or particularly, you know.
Yes.
I wanted to eat meat, and I wanted to eat my eggs in the morning. Like I just like it.
Okay.
So to me, I wasn't so much focused on, do I feel better that I don't eat meat? I was like, I want to eat meat.
Right.
You know?
When can I go home and eat meat?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
because it's not for everyone. And something that I learned recently is that based on your blood type, you need to eat more of certain foods. So specific blood types crave more meat than others.
Really?
So some blood types, you need to eat meat, otherwise you'll feel weird. Or like weird in a way that you feel more tired than someone who has a different blood type, etc.
Wow.
I didn't know that, and until recently.
Like it's a fact?
It's a fact.
Huh.
Yeah. It's a fact.
And you've noticed that it's true for you with your blood type?
Yes.
Okay.
When you're vegan or vegetarian, in order to get proteins, you have to mix rice and lentils, for example, because both of them have proteins, but they don't have the same type of protein. So I started eating a lot of grains, a lot. So when I was telling you I was tracking my macros, I came to the conclusion, like based on like the results, that I was eating half of the amount of protein that I should eat a day.
Oh, wow.
For my goals, I was eating 60 grams of protein when I should be eating 110, 120 a day.
Oh.
So it varies depending on your goals. I have a friend who's a dietitian and she was helping me with that too. And it's like, if you want to grow muscle, it's like ×2 of your weight in kilograms, or ×1.5 if you want to maintain, etc. Like I leave that up to dietitians, but based on what I wanted to achieve, I had to eat double the amount that I was eating a day, basically. I was still eating eggs and yogurt, but still I was eating like supplements with protein powder, like vegan protein powder, grains, nuts. I was trying to incorporate as much protein as I could. It led to a point that not too long after, I would say 6 to 8 months after I started this diet, I started suffering from bloating like really, really, really bad. It got to a point that it was super uncomfortable, even going out or getting dressed, that I would go, let's say I was planning to go to a restaurant and I would wear high-waisted pants, and then I couldn't finish eating until like I unbuttoned my pants, because I like the bloating would start as soon as I would eat something. It could be a piece of lettuce or it could be a cake, but I would still bloat like crazy. So no matter what I ate, no matter what I did.
When you, for example, I've had that feeling where I'm eating and I have to unbutton my pants.
Okay.
Is that from bloating, or it's like a natural thing that your stomach just gets?
You shouldn't get out of your way to feel comfortable. You know, it's, if you, let's say that day you're wearing an extremely tight pant, of course it's not your fault, but it's normal that you not bloat, but you get bigger, but it shouldn't be up to a point that you have to unbutton your pants. For me, that time it's not like that anymore, but at that time I couldn't. Literally, it was so uncomfortable that I had to unbutton my pants, like put like a sweater on and get back home and like immediately change to like huge PJs, because otherwise I would be extremely uncomfortable.
Did it hurt?
It hurt. At that time, the bloating would start like from here, like from the base in between the ribs up all the way to the bottom. So I would bloat from here down. It was like my first time ever experienced bloating. I've always struggled with digestive issues, but not to this point. It was mostly like pain, but this time it was inflammation, a lot of gas, and I would feel just uncomfortable. I would be bloated every time I would eat anything. It doesn't matter how healthy it was or how sugary or how much gluten, like nothing. So I started seeing so many doctors. So I started seeing these GI doctor, and basically they did some testing. They do some blood work. They don't do stool tests until you ask them, or at least that has been my experience. So they did some blood work. They said that I had some deficiencies and that just the supplements, and that would be it. So I had, this is important later on in the story, but I had vitamin B12 and iron deficiency.
Okay.
So basically, a lot of people who are vegan or vegetarian that don't eat meat have those deficiencies. So when I talked to my doctor, he said that was pretty normal, especially since I wasn't eating meat. Oh, something that I forgot to add, one of the symptoms was that besides bloating, I was extremely tired. When I say extremely, it was, I could be sleeping 12 hours, 14 hours, not kidding. Wow. I would wake up and I would have breakfast, and then I would be good to go back to sleep for another 8 hours. It was bad, bad, that I was exhausted. I was able to fall asleep anywhere, no matter the noise, no matter where I was extremely tired all the time, which I wasn't.
Was it normal for you?
It wasn't normal for me at all. So I knew something was wrong, and then when I found out that I had those deficiencies, it's when everything started tying together, because when you have vitamin B12, iron, vitamin D deficiencies is when you start feeling a lot of fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So that made sense on that side, but then the bloating aspect wasn't solved in a way. So I started taking the supplements, and then I started seeing a naturopath. So I was like, okay, this doctor didn't help. He prescribed me this. He told me I had these deficiencies, but the bloating's still happening.
Did you do the stool test as well?
Not then.
Okay.
Then with this naturopath, he gave me some natural supplements. It was like vitamin B12 was like a liquid. It was very holistic and natural, so it wasn't like a pill in a way. It was just a liquid that it didn't taste good at all. It was like you had to put it on your tongue, let it sit there, and then you swallow it. It was completely different from what I was used to, but I could feel the difference a lot. So he did a stool test, and they were able to find out some bacteria's overgrowth, but they didn't fully said it was SIBO. So along all this time, what I was seeing the GI doctor and then this naturopath, I was doing research on my end, because whatever they were saying didn't feel right with me with my symptoms. They were not being super
concise,
clear. They weren't clear. I kept asking them, like, why did it all started? Like, I didn't know then why I was feeling like that out of nowhere in my mind.
So at the time you didn't think it was because of your diet?
At that time, I didn't know, because in my mind, I was eating super clean. I was making all the food at home. I was eating grains, which is healthy. I was eating nuts, which is healthy. I was eating eggs, which is healthy. So I don't understand what I would feel like that. And I didn't connect the dots then. So when I would ask them, like, hey, why did this happen to me? Like, how can I prevent this from keep happening, or like to stop it? They wouldn't give me a precise answer. So that's when I started doing my own research, watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I came across one girl talking about her experience, and she was saying that she had SIBO. So I was like, okay, let me look it up, let me see the symptoms, etc. So basically, SIBO is small intestine bacteria overgrowth. In your gut, you have bacteria, which is great to have bacteria. You have millions of types of bacteria, and you should have specific levels of each one and in specific parts of your digestive system. So basically, SIBO is an overgrowth in the small intestine of bacteria. A lot of people who suffer from this are people who had procedures done in their digestive system, like surgeries or things like that, and that imbalances their bacteria overall. But in my case, I've never had any procedure done, so that was something that I couldn't relate to, but I could relate to all the symptoms that they were saying. That was extremely bloating, constipation. It could be two things depending on the type of bacteria imbalances. It could be constipation or the complete opposite. People who suffer from SIBO have vitamin B12 deficiencies and iron deficiencies and vitamin D deficiencies. So I was like, okay, I have all the symptoms.
Like me.
I was like, that sounds like me. So I thought it was very specific, the deficiency. So I was like, okay, I think I have it. So next time I saw my naturopath, I told him, like, hey, I think I have SIBO. And he was like, yeah, well, I don't think so, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, no, I have all the symptoms. Like, I have this, and that. I have the deficiencies. I had to be very pushy about it. And he was like, okay, if you want to, we can do the test, but I don't think you'll have it. I'm like, yes, do. Because it gets to a point that you're desperate. It's uncomfortable to be like that every single day. Because if it was occasional, okay, you can work your way around it. But it was extremely uncomfortable every single day. So you get to a point that you're desperate. And a lot of doctors don't want to do it because of the insurance. It's like a whole thing. You have to pay out of pocket most of the times. And it's not cheap to do either. So you have to basically convince your doctor to prescribe you to do a test. So this is a very specific test. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it's basically you have to fast for 12 hours and you have to eat specific diet the day before to prepare your body for the test. To do the test, you have to breathe on a tube. So long story short, I did the test and turns out I have SIBO, which was great because at that point I was like, I just want to know what I have and then fix it. The only thing with this condition is that it's so broad and there's not as much research about it, and it's so hard to pinpoint what causes it, how to easily like treat it. It's very individual and very specific for everyone. It was good to know that I had it so I could treat it accordingly, but at the same time, it's not something that, okay, you take a supplement or you take a pill and that's it. So what my doctor prescribed me was antibiotics. Basically, antibiotics kills bacteria. So what they were trying to do was basically kill all the bacteria so then I can balance them naturally. And I did take antibiotics for, I don't remember right now, but it was so many pills a day. It got to a point that it was like 7 to 8 pills a day. It was crazy. But then after I finished the treatment, I felt, I'm not kidding, maybe 10 to 15% better after doing the full treatment. Like he would say, you need to take these antibiotics, you need to make some changes in your diet.
Okay.
Which I did to the dot. And one thing I did realize is that the bloating, instead of starting from here, it would start from the belly button down.
Okay.
Basically, the antibiotics were able to solve one part of the problem, but not the bottom half of the problem, basically.
Okay.
So bloating kept happening, and this guy was like, I don't know what else to give you. I gave you antibiotics. They helped, but they didn't help 100%. I don't know what else to do. And that's when he told me, hey, why don't you try hypnotherapy? So he thought that I had lost the connection between my brain and my gut. Basically, that wasn't letting me digest food properly, because I had lost that connection. So it was like, why don't you try hypnotherapy? It's basically, for people who don't know, it's kind of a guided meditation that it's someone talking to you and basically explaining every part of the body that you use while you were digesting. So she was like, okay, imagine putting something in your mouth. Or I remember there were different ones, but I remember one clearly that it was like, okay, this gold liquid that you swallow and it's gonna heal you from within. So imagine yourself drinking the liquid, and then like you tasting the liquid, and then going down your throat and then on your stomach, and like literally walking you through the liquid to see like every part of your body. And then she was very
visual,
so you can like start the connection. And I did that. I was like, give
For
me
how
anything.
long?
4 months. I think I tried it for 3 months.
Like every day?
Every day? You have to do it every day. Yeah.
The dedication.
I'm telling you, I was like so desperate that I was like, tell me what to do and I'll do it, because it was so uncomfortable. That I would rather meditate and do hypnotherapy every single day for 3 months than do nothing, you know?
And do you feel it helped?
Honestly, no. No, but I kept trying. I was like, if this doctor is telling me that he doesn't know what else to give me, and that the last resource is do hypnotherapy, I'll do it. It's like, maybe I'm the problem, that I'm not connecting my brain with my gut.
So we spoke about this, that recently I watched the Huberman Lab podcast. Have you heard about it? Yeah. So it was with the Dr. David Spiegel, and he basically studies hypnosis. And he was saying that not everybody is hypnotizable.
Okay.
There are certain patients that he literally will tell them, this treatment is not going to work for you. I suggest you do this, that. So some people really, the hypnosis is not going to work for them.
Okay. Did he say why?
Yeah, he goes into like explaining. So if you're curious about hypnosis, I suggest that you watch it, because it's very interesting. And really, he talks about self-hypnosis. So that type of hypnosis, which is different from stage hypnosis.
Right.
Like stage hypnosis, you know, it's more of like a show, whereas that it's something that you can like listen to a meditation and do yourself as well, because you can do it with him. But he also has an app. Okay. It's called Reverie.
Okay.
I downloaded it just to take a look at it.
Okay.
Because
is it free?
The reason why, no, it's not free.
Okay.
So it makes you think that it's free. You go through the whole process, you answer the questions, and then when you go to click on it, it's like, this much per month or whatever.
Okay.
I don't think it's that big. Like if you have a serious issue that you feel hypnotherapy could help you heal in, I think it's doable. But for me, I was just curious, so I didn't go ahead with it. But the reason why I was curious about it was because of the brain tap meditation that we did at the Biohack Lab, which we posted our first blog about it. Last week we went to the Biohack Lab, And one of the treatments was brain tap meditation, which is a form of hypnosis as well.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I just loved the meditation that Rania put for us.
Yeah.
It was just so powerful.
Yeah, she put the same meditation for both of us, and I felt the same way. And you told me that you'd even cried at the end.
Yeah, I cried. Like, through the whole thing, it's like tears.
No, yeah, it was really powerful. We should ask her to see which one it was, to maybe, I don't know, people can
No, she
listen.
said it. It's in the vlog. You'll see it. She says the name of the meditation.
Oh, the specific, okay.
But I looked it up as well. And brain tap specifically, it's like you have to buy the headset. Well, you don't have to. You could also get the app, which is like a yearly membership.
Oh,
and then you can also get the headset, which has the light and all in it. So it's an expensive investment. But I was thinking, if I did that every day, I'd be like unstoppable.
Literally, you'll be unstoppable. That meditation was so powerful. I was like,
it made you think like you could do anything.
You can do. I was gonna say that. It's like you take off the headphones and you're like, I can do anything.
Anything. Like, he made you feel like you haven't even tapped into your potential yet. And like, there's so
and even the way he speaks, it's like,
I loved his voice. It's like,
encouraging.
I believed him.
Like,
I was like, yes.
I believe every word you're saying. Wow, yeah, he's so powerful.
Yeah. It was very powerful. So yeah, I just wanted to say that
it's not
might
be
that it didn't work for you, maybe because hypnosis in general doesn't work, but you know.
I have no idea. I was trying really hard. I was like, this is the only thing I have left in my mind. I was like, that's the only thing I have left. So then I tried another naturopath who gave me some bitters, which is basically a liquid from a plant that is bitter. It's extremely bitter. So you have to put that on your mouth before any meal, and the taste of the bitterness sends signals to your brain to be like, okay, you're preparing your body to eat. So
it's like waking up your metabolism.
It's basically making you produce acids to help digest food properly, acids and enzymes. So his doctor told me to take a drop full of that before any meal to fully savor it and then swallow it, and then I was ready to eat. So that helped a lot. It didn't make my bloating go away. I was still suffering from bloating, not as bad as in the beginning. So that's one thing that helped. I highly recommend it. I can link it below. It's from a plant. It's super natural. And I would give it to my friends who were suffering from occasional bloating. If we were traveling, they were like, oh, I feel kind of upset. You can take it and it'll help like the pain or like the gas go away.
Can you take it after, or it has to be before?
It has to be before, but if you have some discomfort, you can take it.
Okay.
And I have taken it whenever I had discomfort, and it helped. Of course, if it's not like something huge, if it was just like small
like
pain, slight discomfort. But
do you still take it now?
No, not anymore, because I'm taking something else.
All right.
Wait till I get. But it took it for a while.
Okay.
The key whenever you're dealing with anything gut related is consistency with your diet, with your supplements,
so that you can know what helps, what to change.
As I was saying, the gut is so complex and so broad and so individual. Whatever works for me can not work for you at all. So that's why it's so complicated to heal digestive issues, because it's super individual, and antibiotics that might have helped me most likely won't help you just because your body's different. And I felt that I was stuck, basically. That I was improving, but I improved up to a point and then I got stuck. My fatigue improved when I started taking the supplements for the vitamin B12, iron. So that was good on that side. But then I started feeling, besides feeling bloated, I started feeling that I was having so much like water retention. And I felt weird with that vegetarian diet. I was like, I know a lot of people who are vegan or vegetarian. They feel super light. They feel great. They feel whatever. And I wasn't feeling that. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to do a change in my diet and stop being vegan or vegetarian. But I still had that mindset of like, I don't want to eat fish. I don't feel good eating chicken or meat. So what do I do? So it was like a mental
shift.
Yeah, it's like I had a mental conflict.
Yes. Okay, I
Within
see.
myself, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to eat that because I know that makes me feel better, but I don't want to. I don't feel good doing it, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew that was going to help my overall health. So I
Mm-hmm.
slowly started incorporating more chicken, more meat. I stayed away from the fish because I was still traumatized from the documentary, but I started slowly incorporating more chicken and more meat. Then right around the time we met, I don't know if you remember that
Mm.
I told you like, hey, I'm doing like a juice cleanse,
Yes,
blah
I
blah blah.
remember.
So I found this doctor, Ludwig Johnson. I'm gonna tag him below. He's basically a doctor who came up with this cleanse that is a carrot juice cleanse. You still eat, but you have to stop eating certain foods. That he has his protocol. He has a different protocols and different cleanses. So I don't know if you remember me going to the office with like a jar with
Yes.
carrot juice. Well, I was doing that cleanse. So I had to stop eating as many grains as I was eating for that cleanse. So basically, you have to prepare a few days before and then do the cleanse. So overall, I think it's a week and a half or 2 weeks for the juice cleanse. And I noticed that I felt so much better
Mm.
just not eating nuts or grains at all. And
Mm.
in such little time, I felt a big difference. I wasn't,
Mm.
you have to cut. You cannot eat sugar. You cannot eat certain healthy things. You cannot eat just for the protocol, but I stopped eating those things. And I felt for some reason my body was telling me like, hey, avoid eating more grains, like stop
Mm.
eating lentils or black beans or chickpeas. I was eating chickpeas like crazy. So
Mm.
stop eating those things. And that's when I changed my diet to more protein based. Whenever I wanted to eat carbs, it would be potatoes, sweet potatoes, plantains. I would rotate on those three, and that's when I started noticing the biggest difference. I was still taking the supplements that they gave me. Some of them gave me apple cider vinegar, which helped
Mm.
with digestion as well. Some gave me enzymes, which helped as well. But the biggest change overall was changing the diet, which if you suffer from that and if you see videos of people suffering from SIBO, the main thing that they say that helped is the diet. And a SIBO diet is very specific. You need to kill the bacteria by starving it. And if you eat one day,
You're feeding it.
you're feeding
the
it.
bacteria.
So it's like you lost all the 2 weeks that you were
Mm-hmm.
doing that diet. So it's if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing the diet, you need to be very specific with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that.
And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a more efficient way to just not feed the bacteria instead of doing antibiotics, because antibiotics also kills the good bacteria, right? From what I understand. So it's like
Yeah,
wiping out
it's
everything.
it's wiping it out. It's necessary in some cases based on what I've heard of other people's experience. It's just easier to wipe it out, as you say, and then start building it up.
Do you feel like if you knew what you knew after taking the antibiotics, would you have still taken the antibiotics?
Yes, I would still do it just because I felt that it helped a little bit, but I've gone through so many different routes that if I have to step back and be like, if I have to pick something, I would be change in the diet, which is super annoying because in a way you have to connect with your body a lot and be very conscious about what you're eating.
It's annoying at first, but I'm sure now you're grateful for the connection that
Yes,
you have.
yes, but it's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
and you would think it's like something so simple, like okay, let's just eat something, and then
Because,
you'll
from
understand
my
your body.
perspective, like when I would see you at the office coming with all these things and you knew so much about nutrition, I was like, wow, like she's so connected with her food. I
No.
was very impressed.
Well, it's a lot. Like I was desperate. Honestly, I was like, I don't know what else to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be able to find what foods you can eat or what you cannot eat, because it doesn't necessarily that what bloats you are bad foods like sugar or things like that. I came to the conclusion that what bloats me are lentils, chickpeas, black beans, which are super good foods, but they don't sit well for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And especially grains, they have this component that my acupuncturist was telling me
And you do acupuncture for bloating.
for bloating as well. I started doing acupuncture recently. The first treatment I did was in June, which was crazy as well. It was like so good. I felt so much better, and I went there specifically for bloating first, and she has helped me with so many other things. But even though I feel a lot better than I did 4 years ago, I still bloat. Not nearly as much as I used to, but I still bloat. So bloating is not normal. It's inflammation in your gut, and that if not treated, it can lead to so many other conditions and diseases in the long run. Something that we were talking about earlier is that gut and acne is related as well. Like sometimes if you suffer from the gut and then you have some acne, that can be related as well. So it can affect so many other things that you have no idea. Even while I was doing some research about it, I've heard people who suffer from SIBO, like they have panic attacks, they suffer from depression as well. So it can affect not only physically but also emotionally. So it's the gut controls a lot of things. So it's, people call it as the second brain. So there's so many neurons in the gut, that's why people call it the second brain. So if you leave it untreated, that can lead to so many things in the long run. So I don't want to leave that untreated. Even though I feel a lot more comfortable now, I don't want to be like that and then in the long run I suffer from something else that was caused by it. So I went to the acupuncturist, and she is helping me finalize and like fully be healed in that sense. So she was saying that grains have lectins, which is something that makes your body naturally produce gas. So everyone with a healthy digestive system, they eat grains and they'll produce gas just because of it. It's natural.
Are you able to define bloating? Is it just gas?
It's gas, literally. It's gas. A buildup of gas in the stomach and intestines.
Wow, that's it.
That's it.
Bloating is a buildup of gas. That's it.
Buildup of gas, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I came to the conclusion that what happened to me was basically I was eating like so much quantity of grains for months straight, every single day and every single meal almost, that I completely messed up my digestive system, and that's why I ended up having all these issues. And it's crazy that I had that diet for, let's say, a year, and 3 years later I'm still trying to fix that. So it's a very complex thing to fix. So going back to the treatments that worked for me, in the end, this acupuncturist prescribed me some enzymes, which I'm going to link below because they're from this brand called Pure. You've probably seen it. Pure Encapsulations.
Ah, yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
They sell it everywhere.
Yeah.
So she prescribed me some digestive enzymes, which they have betaine HCI, something that help you produce enzymes and acids which help with digestion. So I have to take 2 capsules before every big meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, sorry. Is this something you can get
Online? Yeah.
So you don't need a prescription?
You don't need a prescription, no.
Okay.
So it's like a supplement that I'm taking. Since I started seeing her, I started taking the enzymes and doing the treatments with her, and I have improved so much. It's crazy how much I've improved.
This acupuncturist is like,
I'm
heaven.
telling you, you
like
need
came
to
from
go.
heaven.
I don't know if you have anything like wrong, but it's like you need to go just because.
No, we should go and do a second vlog.
Yes. She's the cutest though. When you get into this healthy fitness world, it's like a lot of people eat a lot of like almond butter and peanut butter. I was one of them. I remember I used to take so many like nuts as a snack to the office, and I didn't realize that they bloat me, because some things that most people don't know is that the bloating doesn't necessarily need to be immediate. Sometimes it can be like a few hours later, even a day later. So it's, if you want to pinpoint what foods trigger you, you need to stop eating them for a while. So it's
and you have to like isolate the food. It's like that's the one thing you change.
Exactly.
So do you feel like now you have control over your bloating?
Yes, a lot better.
How do you feel about eating fish now?
It's I like it, but
I like it.
Do you really? No, I like it, the taste, but I cannot think about it too much.
So basically you mostly eat chicken, and then
mostly eat chicken.
you
Whenever
eat red meat out.
I love red meat, and when I started eating red meat again, I noticed that my body really, really likes it. And eggs, that's basically my rotation. I also eat lamb chops.
Lamb?
Yeah, lamb chops.
I love lamb chops.
Oh, I need to make you some.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, your eyes
lit up.
So to conclude the episode, I wanted to say the biggest lessons I've learned in this whole journey. So the first one I would say is do your research on your own end and don't be afraid to bring up things to your own doctor, even though you're the only one who can root for yourself. The doctor, of course, is here to help you, but if you strongly feel that something else might be happening, you just mention that to your doctor or find a different one who listen to what you have to say. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to find out that I had SIBO if I hadn't told my doctor, been persistent about it. So just be persistent. It's not a bad thing. It's just do your research, and if you feel strongly about something, just pursue it. Changing your diet, as annoying as it sounds and as consuming it can sound, that was the main thing that changed how I felt. You can start by eliminating foods that majority of people would be bloated when eating. Finally, I would say try taking supplements that prescribed by a professional, but bitters and digestive enzymes and even apple cider vinegar, which is just apple cider vinegar. It helps with acid production, which helps with digestion. Something I forgot to note, it's like being constipated, it's not normal. Not evacuating daily is not a good sign of the digestive health. So do a mental checklist and
even to pay attention to your stools, like after you know, just look at what it looks like. You can look at online like what healthy poop should look like and what non-healthy.
Yeah, that's a great point, because as we were saying, even with our menstrual cycles, it's like a vital sign that it tells you what's going on inside. The same thing happens with stools. It literally tells you how your digestive system, which controls so many things, is doing. So it's a great point too.
And even the foods that you can see weren't properly digested in your stools, you can see that too.
Yes, that's a great point.
Pee, like with hydration, if your pee is too yellow, like your pee should be almost clear.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So just be more connected with your gut and whatever you're eating, and that it's a long process, but eventually you'll learn more and more about it, and you'll connect with yourself a lot more, and eventually you'll be more aware of what's happening. So that would be my takeaways.
Great.
Yes. I hope this episode was helpful. It's a lot to cover. This is like 4 years of experience and a journey that was summarized in a video, but I hope that if you have any questions, you can DM us or comment below. If you relate to something, I encourage you to do your research on your own end. And if you like this episode, let us know in the comments.
The only way this podcast grows is if you share our content and subscribe, so please do.
You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at AsYouArePod. And see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
Love you.